All right, what up, what up? What up, what up? We back. Pop Talk. I'm Boston Jared here with Casual Rand.
What up?
Finally on par with the news cycle here, on point with the news cycle. We're usually, we're not your average all these full-time YouTubers who do 5-6 shows a day. We only on here once a week, man. So it's tough for us to be on point. In a move that not altogether surprising, right? But the timing of this is a bit interesting, given what happened with Terrence Bud Crawford. What was it, last week or 2 weeks ago? That Bud was forced to. Bud got stripped.
Yeah, about 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So the timing of this is interesting. Yeah. What were your thoughts on this? Go ahead. What were your thoughts on this?
It just shows you like the different promotional belts, promotional companies. Sanctioning bodies and then the favorite fighters are the money makers for that sanctioning body, man. It's some bullshit. They tried this. This is the second time for Jamel, right? Like right when he came back from his injury and fought Mendoza, he was automatically set to fight Tszyu, but then he got
he didn't wait. Jamel Charlo never fought Mendoza. He didn't fight Brian Mendoza. No, you want Castaño?
Who?
Brian Carlos Castaño, the Argentine cat. He never fought Mendoza.
Castaño, I'm sorry. And then like as soon as he fought him, they were like, all right, you gotta fight this guy.
The WBO was up his ass, I think.
Yeah,
right?
So I'm like, damn, bro. And then at the time you had Canelo sitting on his shit for like a year and a half, and then you got his brother that we just talked about who been sitting on his shit for 2.5 years. It's just like certain fighters they'll try to bully. But like but hold on, like I've been saying, like if we go like to multiple episodes, I am not a firm believer of once you get unified that you have to sit there and try to defend all 4 belts.
You always say to vacate. You always pretty consistent.
Like I say vacate because it's not worth the money paying 4 sanctioning fees. You know what I'm saying? Like have to deal with all the fucking headache, man. Once you get it, let it go. Once you walk into that ring, you can still hold them because those are your belts, and you are still unified champion. Let that shit go, man. Either go up and fight or just let that shit go and start beating up the other guys who took it.
Well, there are some boxing purists. One thing I agree with that for the most part. There are some boxing purists who are of the opinion that an undisputed champ, a true undisputed champ, should have an undisputed reign where they defend the belts. They defend each belt. They take on all comers, and that having an undisputed reign as an undisputed champion solidifies you. I guess whatever in the history books, whatever. But you seem like you have a more cynical position.
But the sanctioning bodies won't allow that. You know what I'm saying? Like. If you go on board, if you get on board and say, I'm gonna fight twice a year, and then it seems like the sanction body, you'll fight somebody as soon as the fight is over with. Like 3 days later, they were like, hey, you sanction to fight this, and if you don't, you get stripped within the next 3 months. And I'm like, come on, man. The dude just got out the ring.
Yeah. Now I understand. I'm glad you brought up Jamal Charlo, because we have this sect of boxing fans, these online revolutionaries, a lot of these guys who will point to race as being a reason that if Jamel Charlo was Jamel Charles or Jamel Rivera, and he would not have been stripped. What are your thoughts on that? Well, you kind of already you brought up Jamal Charlo, which kind of nullifies. That kind of takes the legs out.
I guess it's all about right? the promoter, because I think the WBC is a PBC friendly belt.
Is a PBC friendly belt? Okay, all right.
And maybe that's the reason. But there was no there was no reason for Bud to get stripped. Everybody knew going into that fight that the winner that it had a rematch clause to it.
Yeah.
So
that was a strange. It was a strange one. That was a little strange.
So they pretty much stealing money. You know what I'm saying? They stole that money because if they knew they was going to strip whoever the winner was because they wasn't going to allow the second fight, they shouldn't have sanctioned the first fight and then be like, yo, y'all fight for the other belts. They stole the sanctioned bodies pretty much stole money and got the big payday because that Crawford, no matter what, that Crawford Spence, that it did money. It did gate and it did pay-per-views. So if you're getting a percentage of that, you made 10 times more than a Boots anybody fight.
Unless the IBF knows something that the rest of us don't, right? Unless the IBF knows that maybe that undisputed fight with rematch with Spence is not happening, and maybe this is Al Heyman in the IBS way. I'm gonna cue the X-Files music. Okay, cue the X-Files music. Put your 10-4 hats on. Maybe this is PBC Al Heyman in the IBF's way of pressuring Crawford to maybe fight Boots. Maybe. I don't know, because look, I mean, Crawford is not long for this boxing world. Crawford's got 2 fights in him, maybe, right? Well, on the other side, you got a guy in Boots Ennis who's got the next decade ahead of him. Boots is what, 23, 24?
Yeah.
And if you're a matchmaker, and I know you guys don't seem to think that that is a competitive fight. You think, you and Coach Dave, I think Cam has also said that they picked Crawford to soundly defeat Boots. I don't think that fight is as easy. That fight is a very, very competitive fight. I think Boots has just as good a shot of beating Crawford as Crawford has of beating him. 50-50 fight to me. But I say all that to say this. Is this a way of, we were talking about fucking Charlo, but it kind of bears on the conversation. Was this a way of maybe getting Crawford to fight Boots?
I think yes, and yes. The same way to bring it back to Charlo, the same way that they did that shit with Tszyu. So
yeah, but Charlo's swerving. I don't want to make it seem like he's ducking Tim Tszyu, but yeah, I mean, look,
I think we looking at it in the rearview mirror. Like when they were doing it, Tszyu didn't prove himself to do shit at that time, but since then, like whooping up on Harrison and all those other fights, man, he has proven to be, yes, he is legit. But when they did it, when they was trying to box Charlo into fighting him, no, he didn't do anything at that point, and it was wrong for that sanctioning body to be like, hey, you either gonna fight him or we gonna strip him. And the same thing. So to go back to the Bud and Ennis thing, yes, they stripped Bud to try to build another mega fight at 147. Boots, Bud for the undisputed. Then, man, if I was Bud, I'll do the same. I'll tell them like I tell everybody else, let them all go. Like you said, he only got like 2 more fights, and then one of them he's trying to make it with Canelo. So
yeah,
ain't no need to be holding on to those belts when you really don't see yourself fighting at 147 again, unless it's the rematch with Spence, if that bullshit happens.
If it even happens.
But if it doesn't happen, why are you at 147 if you don't want to be there?
Yeah, it makes sense. And look, just for the edification of our viewers here, the guy in the mandatory position was a guy named Bakhram Mortazaliev. Now, I know Mortazaliev from the amateurs. I know the name. If it's the same Mortazaliev I'm thinking of, as a guy, he fought at 152, I believe, in the amateurs. Point is, Mortazaliev is not some guy that Jermell Charlo is gonna get up for at this point of his career. This is a guy that just fought Canelo Alvarez, made a career high payday fighting Canelo Alvarez. What is the point in fighting Bakhram Mortazaliev and making a fraction of what you made against Canelo? That being said, I hope what we see in the spring is a fight between a 3-belt unification between Jermell Charlo and Tszyu. I hope that's what we get, because Tszyu deserves that fight. That's a good fight for Charlo psychologically. That's going to be a fight that's going to be fight he can get up for post Canelo.
Like I mentioned, Canelo fight, man. I didn't see, and as you see, the belts are slowly getting stripped from him or taken away. I didn't see a reason for him to go back down to 54.
Didn't see a reason for Jermell Charlo to go back down.
Yeah, for Jermell to go
I
back
remember you said that. I remember you mentioned that. You wanted him to stay at like 160 and for
like
Big Charlo to move up.
Exactly. I thought that the plan, if Jamal went before, even before the Canelo fight, I thought that Jamal was going to go to 68, Mel was going to go to 160, and Spence was going to go to 54. I thought that was the plan for the last 3 years.
Well, not too late for you to be right. I would say wait and see what happens this Friday with Charlo and that card, and see what happens. You might be seeing just that. Although, look, there ain't much. 154 and 160 are like the blue collar divisions of the sport, man. There ain't a whole lot of sexy names up there if you're a Jermell Charlo. I mean, the sexiest name for Jermell Charlo is Tszyu.
It is. But
John Beck at 160, even Adames or Lara, those aren't sexy fights anymore. Lara would have been a sexy fight 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
At this point, he's paid, and then he made his career on not the sexiest fights.
That is true. Now, that being said, this still leaves the door open for a Jermell Charlo Terrence Crawford fight.
Yes.
Jermell
like
Charlo
you said, there was only supposed to be two fights left for Bud, but Bud did say that he was like, after the Canelo fight, he was like, man, fuck Charlo.
Well, he's saying that now. He also hadn't been stripped at that time. He was still an undisputed champ at that time. So maybe that's, it took us all that time to finally get back to where we were months ago. And that was Terrence Crawford going up and becoming an undisputed champ, or at the very least a champ.
He can't, like, so that grand aspiration of him being unified in 3 straight divisions is null and void.
No, I don't think it is, because if he goes up and he fights Charlo for his 2 belts, you let
that's
Tszyu,
3 fights.
No, hear me out. You let what potentially, right? You let Crawford go up there and fight Jermell for his 2 belts, right? You let Tszyu unify with Mortazaliev.
Yeah.
And then you set up another undisputed fight with Terrence Crawford versus Tszyu at 154.
That's a lot of moving pieces, bro.
It is a few. There are some moving pieces there. But again, if you're Jermell Charlo coming off of a Canelo Alvarez fight,
but then you're telling all these number 1 contenders just sit down for the next 2 years.
Yeah, they all work for Al. These are all PBC guys. The entire 154-pound division are under the thrall of PBC and Al Heyman. Charles Conwell, who's the number 1 guy. Israel Madrimov is also a PBC guy, if I'm not mistaken. Mortazaliev is PBC. Josh Kelly is the one guy that's not PBC, and Josh Kelly is either Matchroom or Queensberry. He might as well go ahead and move down and move up, because he ain't got no chance at any of those. I wouldn't, it wouldn't surprise me if Eddie Hearn made some big stink. Eddie Hearn or the other dude, I can't think of the Queensberry guy's name. It would not surprise me if one of those guys went to the sanctioning body and tried to make a Josh Kelly Tszyu fight. Josh Kelly could really, really play spoiler.
Yeah, that's why I was saying.
In this equation, there are moving parts. There are a lot of moving parts. But most of those parts, it's worth mentioning that most of those parts are controlled by PBC and Al Heyman. And if PBC ends up on DAZN, you know, that further solidifies the equation. I mean, 154 not really so much. It's not much to solidify, right? Because it's just really Josh Kelly. Really, the rest of these guys, with the exception of Xander Zayas.
Yeah,
Zayas is another guy, a top-ranked guy. And you've got Virgil Ortiz out there also, who somehow is the number 3 ranked guy in the WBA. Holy shit.
Shit, they got Spence number 3
has this nigga
in
even
the WBC?
fought at 154?
Huh?
Has Virgil Ortiz even fought at 154?
Nope. But they got Spence. They got Spence as number 3 in the WBC.
They sure do. They sure do. Spence is number 3. Virgil Ortiz is 3. Ha! Don't be surprised if you see that happen in lieu of a Crawford rematch. Don't be surprised if you see Virgil Spence in Jerry's world.
Yeah.
In lieu of a Crawford rematch.
Yeah.
Anyway, we getting far afield. I think we milked that segment for everything it was worth. You got anything else on this? I gotta get out of here and get to the gym.
I am done.
All right, man. Appreciate you coming out. Hey, like and subscribe, man. Like and subscribe. Share, like and subscribe. Peace. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Peace.